What up, guys? Welcome back to today's video. This week, I've invited my good friend Hector Guadarrama from Cross Country Mortgage to come back and talk to us more in depth about the pre-approval process. What a tongue twister. Hector, how are you doing today? Thanks.
I'm good, mate. Thank you so much for having me today. How are you?
I am doing really well. I'm in Las Vegas, enjoying the sunshine, missing Seattle though at the same time, and heading back next month. So can't complain. But I'm sure you get this question all the time with your clients when it comes to the pre-approval process, whether they're FHA or first-time home buyers, VA buyers. So Hector, what would you recommend would be the first step for somebody looking to get pre-approved and buy a house?
A great question. That literally is one I get asked all the time. Step one, talk to a trusted lender. I'm a mortgage loan originator, so I'm the one that you would want to talk to as far as finding out how the pre-approval process works and how everything works together. But the reason you would want to talk to a lender first is you wouldn't want to go out shopping for, you just wouldn't want to go shopping without knowing what your budget is for anything. It doesn't have to be a home loan. It can be anything from groceries, furniture, car shopping, even, you know what I mean? You wouldn't go out and test drive $100,000 car if you had a budget for only $10,000, right? So it likewise, it works that way for home shopping and home buying as well.
Mm-hmm. Got it. And when it comes to getting pre-approved, do you recommend clients get their credit pulled, or how would you go about that?
I do. I always tell my clients to get a credit report done, again, by a trusted lender. Now, a lot of people often they show some hesitation when it comes to getting their credit pulled. There's this common, not necessarily misconception, but that basically if you have a credit report pulled on your credit, that it will affect your credit score, which is kind of true, but it's minor when it comes to a home loan. When it comes to a home loan, it's not going to ding your credit in a negative way. There might be a little bit of a variance in terms of what your points are. However, it's not enough to disqualify you from being approved for a home loan. That's what a lot of people's concerns are, is that if they get their credit pulled, that they're just not going to qualify anymore because maybe their score will drop, 50 or 100 points, but simply it just isn't, it doesn't affect you that drastically. But step one is definitely get your credit report pulled for sure.
Awesome. Okay. And what kind of documents are typically needed for the pre-approval process? What should people prepare for?
There's a few good documents that we lenders really do like to have. The first one is your past 30 days of pay stubs. We like to see, how much you make. When we combine that with the contents of a credit report, that gives us a pretty accurate idea of a maximum monthly payment, maximum monthly housing payment that we will be able to pre-approve you for. The maximum monthly payment is very important in that will determine, what loan amount a client will be able to qualify for. Those are the first, that's the first thing a lender will always ask for. The next thing someone asks for, or that we ask for, is your past 60 days bank statements. Those are pretty important for us to see, just because we want to see if there are, what kind of program we're going to get you into. If we have to start looking into some, maybe down payment assistance programs, or, any kind of program that helps out first-time home buyers maybe a little bit more than a traditional loan might. It's also good for us to, be able to guide our clients as far as, seeing what assets they have readily available. Mm-hmm. After the 60 days bank statements, we like to also take a look at their past 2 years tax returns and past 2 years W-2s. This helps us see a consistency as far as income goes. Any bank is going to love to see that whoever is borrowing money from them has a history of income, which will result, in the loan being paid back by the borrower. And so there's no better way to do that than your past 2 years taxes and W-2s. The last documents that we usually request are forms of identification. That's for me and my company, that's always driver's license, a copy of a driver's license, as well as a copy of a social security card, just to make sure that everything everything lines up with each other. So generally, whenever I have a client come to me and they're like, "Hey, Hector, I want to find out about getting into a home loan. What are the steps? What documents do I need?" I tell them, "Let me pull your credit first. We will be able to determine based off of credit score what you would qualify for. And then after that, I tell them that list of documents as well, which will help me determine a final, well, not final necessarily, but a ballpark loan amount, as well as a monthly payment for the client."
And you mentioned a lot about W-2s and things like that. What about people who are self-employed, such as real estate agents and things like that? Would you have any advice for them as to how can they get pre-approved? What documents do they provide?
Yeah, great question. I would say tax returns for sure. Every single schedule. I get a lot of clients who, not always, but they will ask me, "Do I need to provide my entire tax return?" And the answer is always yes, because when you're self-employed, you might be Schedule C, for example. I will need all of that information that is on that page, in addition to everything else on your tax return, in order to calculate an average of income. The way that it works generally for self-employed borrowers, we take their past 2 years of taxes and come up with a figure based off of the taxes and income that they have reported for their business.
Well, and what would be some minimum credit score requirements that you would recommend for as far as people thinking about getting their credit pulled, thinking about speaking to a lender like you? What should they strive for credit-wise?
Yeah, absolutely. The first thing to discuss is kind of the way that the credit bureaus are set up, or rather the way that we look at credit scores. So there are 3 different credit bureaus. There is Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. All 3 of those are going to they could have completely varying numbers or very similar numbers. It really depends on a case-by-case basis. However, what we look at the middle number, which we call the mid score. We don't come up with an average. We don't look at the FICO average. We look at all 3 scores and we just take a look at whatever that middle number is. So after we look at the middle number, as long as you're in the minimum qualifying, which generally I like to see around a 580 to get started, 580 mid score, then we can start determining, loan options. You are a little more limited if you are below a 620 credit score. However, to even get started, I would say at least a 580.
When it comes to down payment, closing costs, I imagine that's part of the pre-approval process, right? How much do you recommend that people have ready to go?
Great. You're just full of the great questions today. I love it. You always have great questions. What I tell my clients is prepare for a 3.5% down payment. The reason why I say 3.5% down payment, that is the FHA, so the Federal Housing Administration, which a lot of people kind of, they kind of interchange it with first-time home buyers, just because that's what most first-time home buyers will end up using. They will end up using an FHA program. At 3.5%. So for example, if you have a $300,000 home, you're going to be looking at a $10,500 down payment. The other thing we generally advise our clients is an additional 1% for closing costs, just because there are closing costs associated with the loan. These closing costs include escrow, they include title, which this can be another video. This is another video. We'll make another video on closing costs and discussing all those things. But so escrow, closing costs. Some lenders have an origination fee. A lot of lenders charge a 1% origination fee. Come talk to me to find out about what ours is. We don't have one. And as well as, the rate for or the cost of the interest rate. The interest rate will vary per client. Mm-hmm. So there is a cost associated with the interest rate as well. But all of those things together, I'd say between 1% and 2% of the loan amount, just to start with.
So Hector, last question for you. What is typically the turnaround time for somebody to get their results? So after they submit all their documents with you, you've had their credit pulled, more or less what time frame should people expect?
I would say it's kind of case by case again, but in a perfect world, if a client were to provide me all these documents up front, and they were able to submit an application, I could probably get it done if we got an application in at the beginning of business day, by midday, maybe end of business day, the latest, if we have all the documents. Otherwise, as long as I have pay stubs and tax returns, at the very least, I should be able to have an answer, within a few hours easily,
Okay.
after pulling credit. Generally, though, I mean, if I had everything after pulling credit, I could come up with something within an hour.
Oh, actually, that's pretty quick. So, but definitely, if you get really busy, I guess within 24 or 48 hours,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I try to keep my turnaround time at no more than a 24-hour turnaround time.
Okay. Awesome. And Hector, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Best way would be on my website. I do have a website. It is www.homeloanswithhector.com. You can submit an application there. You can reach me via email there. My email address is also another great way to get a hold of me. It is hector@myccmortgage.com. And you can always call me as well too, either at my office or on my cell. My office phone number is 801-612-1600, and my cell is 435-225-0387. And I'm always happy to help.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Hector. And for everybody who is interested in contacting Hector, I will be sure to have that information down in the description box below. And if you guys liked this video, you got some value, hit that like button, subscribe to this channel for more videos just like this. And again, we're always looking for video ideas. If you guys have a question in regards to real estate tips, tricks, or even mortgage loans, please reach out. Have a great week, guys. Thank you. And thank you, Hector. I will be in touch with you again very soon.
Sounds good. I look forward to it. Bye, guys.
You're like a circle that floats around.